这一次请到我们汤马斯跟 Murray 来我们节目上呢，因为他们在台湾考了摩托车驾照。
So when I first got here, I was almost immediately run over by a car because I feel like scooters here are kind of beside the law. They can park anywhere they want, they can pass you on any side they want, they can ride wherever. First 2 years, you're extra vulnerable.
Oh, so how many times can you? One.
Yeah.
一次超速你就掰啦！嗨，大家好，欢迎来到我们公路漂流这一集。我们呢首度邀请我们的外国朋友来聊一下我们台湾的交通。两位外国朋友呢是来自瑞典这个国家，那我们就请他来简单自我介绍一下吧。
My name is Tomasz and I'm 22 years old. I study my first year of the master here in Chauda University, and we're staying in total for 1 year in Taiwan.
My name is Molly. I am 25 years old, also here in Taiwan for 1 year, doing my first year of the masters.
那这一次请到我们汤马斯跟 Murray 来我们节目上呢，因为他们在台湾考了摩托车驾照，我想要请他们来聊一下，就是在台湾骑车呢是什么样的一个感觉。那我觉得啦，我就直接切入主题好了。他们当初拿到摩托车的时候呢，一个是从台中买到摩托车，那另外一位呢是高雄嘛，对不对？然后他们一个是从台中骑回新竹，一个是从高雄，然后绕东部环岛一圈骑回新竹。那我就来请他们分享一下在台湾骑摩托车当时的第一印象是什么，好不好？来。
Okay, so when I first got here, I was almost immediately run over by a car. Because when we were leaving the airport, if I'm a pedestrian and I'm going over a crosswalk, in Sweden everybody is stopping even when they see you approach the crosswalk. But here all the cars were driving like normal and I felt like it didn't exist on the road. So yeah, that was my first experience.
And how about your riding experience on scooter?
Since I've been driving a motorcycle before in Sweden, from when I was 16 to 18 years old, I was pretty confident with riding the scooter. It was very easy because there's no gear or anything, you just gas and brake. I've also been riding to and from school with the normal bicycle, so I was already used to the traffic. So then the first time when I bought the scooter, it was quite alright.
So my first experience was I came to Taiwan and was like, oh my god, the traffic is so chaotic, so maybe I won't even ride a bicycle. But then I started to ride and I experienced you are more a part of the traffic if you're actually going by motorcycle. But I am always terrified whenever I see a bus.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are driving like crazy. And like changing files, like going to the fast one, and then like, oh my god, there is the bus stop, and like, going back again. Yeah, I had never been driving the motorcycle before I came here, but I had a small warm-up when we went to Leocho Island. And it started with me trying to like very, very slow do the gas, give some gas, and I almost crashed into you guys because I couldn't really handle it. And then I thought, this is fun. Let's take the driver's license. Yeah.
我比较好奇一个就是，为什么会想要来台湾考驾照？因为其实如果你们在自己的国家有国际驾照，那当然魔女没有。那有国际驾照的话，其实像汤马斯他是可以直接换照的。我想要了解怎么会想要用考的，分享一下考照的经验跟瑞典有什么不同？来。
So the motorcycle license system in Sweden is very much different from here. The type of license that I have, it's for the 125cc motorcycle, and apparently for the international license, it doesn't qualify to translate the Swedish license to the Taiwanese. Because as far as I know, for Taiwan, the lowest class that I passed the test for, you can have up to like 249cc, right? So because I think mine is only 125, then it's like too small to just convert.
Okay.
So I had to pass to be able to drive here.
The main reason was because I wanted to drive the motorcycle in Taiwan. But before I came here, I kind of thought that I could only just buy a motorcycle and that was it. I didn't think that I had to do the driver's license test and stuff, just thinking that it was super easy. But it was kind of a long process to come as a foreigner people to take with all the paperwork.
那他有没有开车？
Yeah, of course. I have a car back home.
我就想请 Murray 先分享一下，在瑞典开车跟在台湾你看到的有什么不同？
Yeah, the road situation in Sweden is very calm and structured, and there are not so many cars on the streets as it is here. So that makes a lot of difference. And also here there are so many motorcycles, which makes it a little bit more chaotic, I think, because we don't have so many motorcycles on the roads in Sweden. And it's only cars driving in the line, waiting for the one in front. While here it's more just giving full gas to drive around you and then just stop in front of you. Yeah, things like that that I wasn't really prepared of in the beginning. But now I have learned to keep my distance.
So you can also do the lane street like other motorcycles do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now you have to, because sometimes there is one going like super slow on the side and you can't wait for that.
那我想要补问一个问题，在瑞典这件事情是合法的吗？
I think from when I was riding, it was kind of unclear, the laws. But there is so few motorcycles. The people that have it, they kind of just do it. But usually, like if you're driving in the city, like on a normal day, and it's only a little bit of congestion, you never go in between. You just wait for your turn. If there is an accident on the highway and there is like 5 kilometers of cars, then maybe you can go on the side.
Okay, I see.
But the cars here, they adapt to it, so they kind of position themselves a little bit more out from the middle. But in Sweden, since there is so few motorcycles, nobody thinks about keeping space in the middle. So it's also a lot harder.
了解。好，我这边分享2个东西哦。第一个呢，我希望在台湾的骑士就是减少在车流行进的时候有钻车梦这件事情，因为我觉得这件事情不管对其他驾驶还是对自己都是一件危险的事，这个在全世界都一样。然后第二个，在我看到的欧洲跟美国，一旦高速公路比较有塞车的时候，内线跟外线的车道他们会尽量贴2边，摩托车可以从2个车道中间
是停止的时候吗？
他们会有一些速限，譬如说，如果车流速度低于可能25迈很低的时候，摩托车是合法可以从中间走过去的。可是台湾比较有趣的是，台湾都是往中间靠，然后最右边让给摩托车走。问一个比较特别的问题，他们有没有发现到，其实台湾的车道宽度其实比瑞典宽，所以才会有更多的空间摩托车可以转。
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, there's also always something like obstacle on the side of the road. Maybe somebody has parked or a truck is standing like delivering goods or something.
对
So it's usually only enough for maybe 1 or 2 motorcycle, but not for a car. So kind of yes and no.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But then also in the cities, most of the roads have always 2 lines. That's very convenient, because in Sweden, most of the cities have only 1 line.
好，那我进入到重头戏了。我们先来请汤马斯分享一下，就是在瑞典的机车考照。我再想要请教他们的实际测验是什么样子。
First, there is the scooter license, we call it. That's when you're 15, you can do this, and then you have to take some lessons with like an instructor. And after you're finished with the lessons, you have the license. You don't need to pass any driving test. So it's very easy. If you are just there, you will pass it. But it's only for 50cc scooter, and they can only go 45 kilometers per hour. Then there is the motorcycle, and the motorcycle is divided into 3 categories. And the first one with the least power, you can start to do it when you're 16. You can drive a 125cc motorcycle. Then you have to pass like a proper test, but also like a theory part, the same as here. But the difference is that the test that you do, you start off with riding in a like obstacle course. And you have to do like some slaloming in the middle of some cones. Then you have to do a very tight turn, braking from 50 kilometers and 70 kilometers per hour. There is no specific distance. The most important thing is that you have to brake in a very safe way. So you have to sit upright and look far ahead, and you cannot lock the brakes, and you cannot engage the ABS. If they hear the ABS, you're failed. After you finish this one with the braking and everything, then you go out in the traffic with the instructor.
The instructor sit back for.
They have another motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
And you're speaking on the
Oh, cool. Okay.
那我想请问一下，路考的话会有特定路线吗？还是随机？
It's randomly chosen. The instructors have maybe like 50 or something roads. You can never practice a specific road because you will never know where you're gonna drive. For example, you have to ride the highway, you have to ride in the city, doing the roundabouts, you have to be able to take the left turn. They evaluate all of these steps in the same time. So it takes maybe 30 or 40 minutes of driving. In my group, we were, I think, like 8 people. So it took a very long time. First, everybody has to pass the obstacle course, and that takes maybe 2 hours or something. And then I was the first out in the traffic, so I was done really quickly, but the others had to wait like a really long time. So if I remember correctly, the driving part of the test, it costs 1,600 Swedish crowns, which is 4,800. If you fail, you need to pay again. It's the same for all the different classes.
那18岁以上呢？
The next level is from the date that you're 18 years old. It's the same procedure with all the tests. You have to still do a theory test with questions, and you have to pass the driving course. And then if you pass when you're 18, you can drive a motorcycle with up to 50 horsepower. There is some like smaller regulations, for example, the weight to horsepower ratio and these kind of things. But the most important is that it's 50 horsepower is the limit. So if you have the second level for 2 years, from when you're 19 years old, you can take the final level when you're 21. But if you don't ride any motorcycle on the second level for at least 2 years, then you have to wait until 24 to do the biggest level. And the biggest level is unlimited specification on the motorcycle.
But why did you need to take more than the mandatory course?
The driving test itself is actually very difficult. So maybe if you practice with your family, it's not enough and you need like actual professional help, and that's very expensive in Sweden.
你刚刚讲的就是这个驾训班要多少钱呢？
就光是在那边听好像就要1600、1800吧。
光听课3个小时。
对，3个小时，然后那个实际上路的6000元台币左右。对，他说如果一般人要整个完成的话，差不多要花2万块。可是你通常在场内的那个练习，你不会只练习1次，所以通常会花到3万台币。
那我想要请问一下，通过率多少？
I actually did it 2 times because I failed on the first time. And in the first time, I know 6 out of the 8 people failed.
Oh, wow.
And on the second time, I think 3 or 4 failed.
好，那刚刚听到的都是125等级，可能都要的，所以呢，他们的125基本上是比照我们的大型重机。他刚刚讲的所有内容，只有在我们的251cc以上才会有。我们没有路考。不过刚刚有一个很有趣的，就是紧急刹车这个东西。因为我考是20年前的啦，台湾的大型重机的限制是20岁持有小型车驾照1年。 我们的一次的费用差不多是1万块台币上下，然后大概要上36小时的课程，但是基本上没有落实。我们最大的魔王关卡是紧急刹车，必须要在35公里或是25，因为太多人在那个紧急刹车测验摔车了，甚至有人摔死掉。然后才降成25公里，所以刚刚大家可以听到他们的125必须要有实际的上路，然后甚至要上高速公路嘛，对不对？然后上乡间小路，然后左转右转圆环，这是路考，然后还有场内的练习跟听课，甚至要花到1万、2万以上，甚至5万以上才可以通过这一个125的考试。就是你就会觉得靠，这个比台湾大型重机还要严格。那我现在也想要请问一下 Murray， 就是如果是汽车的考照呢？
So the process is kind of similar. You have to do the theoretical course and practical course. And there, because in Sweden, when it's winter, it's also very slippery and ice on the roads. So you also have to practice how to handle ice roads, do like very sharp, immediate brakes.
And they have like this course where they spray something on the road. And when they do it, it's like super slippery. Yeah, it's really like an ice on the surface. Wow. And then you're driving and they will pull out like a deer in front of you. You try to brake, but your car is just sliding into the deer and you just like crash into it and you get super scared. And they want to make you to see how easy it is to drive too fast.
那我想要请问，就是接下来呢，那汽车的路考是不是都是一样的？然后还有就是汽车的花费跟通过率，然后还有它驾照的分级有没有类似的制度？那它考照的过程这些是不是跟机车一样？
Yeah, and then the test is with the instructor, and he or she tells you where to go. Then there are like some more small things that you have to do, like parking and going backwards around corners and park in small spaces, like if there are two cars standing on the road like this.
So with the car, you are just out in the normal traffic. And also, before you even get to start, they will give you, for example, you have to check your brakes, or you have to check if there is enough fluids in your car. Your instructor will tell you, okay, please check that the parking brake is working. So you need to know how to do that.
所以他们汽车有没有场地训？像德国他们有没有场地训？他们一上车就是上路。
No, we don't have a place regulated for practicing. But before you can go with whoever wants to train with you, and they have to also take a course in how to teach you how to drive. And then they have to apply for I am driving with me, Molly. So my mother was taking the course, and then she applied like the papers that she has proven to ride with me. And then most of the time we just go to big parking lots, and that's where we start to practice, and then we go into the traffic together.
And you can do this already when you're 16. Pass this course, and then you can start driving together.
那通常汽车考照要多少钱？然后通常被刷掉了，通过率多少？
I don't know the rate really.
Yeah.
I just know it's very common that you fail the first time.
那多少钱？
I think just the tests cost somewhere around like 4,000 and 5,000 Taiwan dollar. Because you have to borrow the car from them. And when you do the test, the car has the double pedal. Yeah. You have to borrow the car, and then it's like a bit more expensive. Yeah, maybe like 4,000 to 6,000 somewhere in between.
其实简单讲就是没有场地考。那我听说在德国考一次大概5万台币。像这是日本的摩托车考照，但是日本是强制只有场地，他们没有路考。对，所以这个是日本考照跟欧洲的方式不太一样。欧洲很显然比较注重实际的考验，那日本就是在做一个很大的场地，然后模拟你在路上会遇到的。那台湾其实是日本场地参考过来的。好，然后接下来呢，那我就想问了，聊了那么多瑞典的实际考照的经验，那我现在就是想问，对台湾考照有什么想法
Kind of afraid when I saw people driving the course, and then I was like, oh my god, did they actually pass? And am I now to drive in the traffic together with those people? They couldn't control the motorcycle. Like even when they were not on it and they were like starting to maneuver to put it in the square where you should start. They couldn't even like what way should I turn for it to go? Yeah, so I think maybe some people would have some more practice.
I agree with Molly. I think it's really like too bad. Like you shouldn't be allowed to be on the roads if you only know how to do this course, because like for you have never ridden a motorcycle and you practice for 2 hours and then you passed it. And I feel like if I'm in the traffic, I want to be with people that can actually drive. And maybe I wouldn't say that you can drive after just passing the course. And also to add, in my group, the first step here is to listen to this video for like 2 hours. So for me, that was in Chinese. I didn't understand anything. And also like all the people in my group, they were on the phone or somebody was sleeping. So not even that they do properly.
But I have to say that movie that you had to watch for like 2 hours, that really much like frightened me so much. I was sitting there and I was like terrified watching all these car crashes and motorcycles like sliding in under cars, and I was like, oh my god, should I really do this or should I just leave now maybe? Yeah, I was like terrified after I saw that, so that made me, those movies are like going around in my head whenever I'm driving, right, extra conscious. I think so.
顺便想要问一个有趣的，就是在瑞典的驾照回训制度，摩托车跟汽车大概多久要回去上课？然后上课的内容可不可以简单的讲一下？因为其实已经聊蛮多的。对。
I don't think you have to do it. I know, for example, my grandpa, he's like almost 90 now. and he's still driving, although he really shouldn't. Like, his eyesight is not so good, and his reflexes are really not that good, but he's still driving. So there is no such thing. But I think if you get caught doing something and you're like, you shouldn't be driving, they can take your license and you have to redo the test.
Oh, okay.
I know that if you go as an old people person to the eye doctor and they notice that you have a bad sight, they can tell you that you should not drive anymore, and so they can tell the government's regulation for the traffics to take your license.
那我也想要请问一下，像台湾大概是半年违规6点，或是你直接讲违规6次的话，然后驾照会被收回。瑞典有没有这样子的一个
For example, when you first pass your driving license, the first 2 years, you're extra like vulnerable. If you get caught speeding or doing something wrong, it's a lot higher chance that they will take your license away.
Oh, so how many times can you?
It's one.
Yeah.
不是超速你就拍啦。
It depends. So if you're going like 10 kilometers too fast, it's okay.
Okay.
But if you drive like a red light or you do like drive 30 too fast, they will take back your license.
我觉得今天也算是聊了非常非常多了，然后因为本来还想要继续聊下去，但是我他妈的电池快没电，一下子聊了快1个小时。最后呢，我觉得就直接请2位分享一下，你有没有觉得很夸张的，像刚刚超速或是进行机车这件事情？
So I think my biggest suggestion for the government would be to actually enforce rules for scooter drivers, because I feel like scooters here are kind of beside the law. They can park anywhere they want, they can pass you on any side they want, they can ride wherever. So maybe put a fine on these things, because whenever I notice there's a fine, people tend to like calm down and stuff. So yeah, actually like enforce the rules for scooter riders. I think I see where they're coming from, because that's one of the like most dangerous maneuvers in Sweden, because we have the single left turn, and the instructors are really the most critical when you make the left turn to do it safely. So I feel like it's pretty good to have it, but also it's very annoying. So you have to wait like 90 seconds for the light, and then you go there and you have to wait 90 seconds again.
Yeah.
Your freeways, they have like a speed limit of 90 kilometers per hour, right? Because I was driving 1 month ago, and then there was a construction on the road, because I always ride with Google Maps, so I accidentally ended up on the freeway. It was a limit of 90 kilometers per hour, and then I was like, okay, but I can drive this fast. So I was driving on the freeway for a while, and it was...
路权斗士。
I know you're not allowed to, but that felt like you could actually do that. It was just super smooth.
Yeah.
And I also noticed when I bought my bike in Taichung, and driving back here, there are some places where there is the scooter road and then the freeway.
Yeah.
So you can see the freeway, and the scooters were driving much faster than the cars. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
那最后感谢2位，就是花了那么多时间跟我们分享这些东西。这样
Thanks for your sharing, and it gives you calendar he made.
Thank you，谢谢。好了，那最后呢，真的要我说什么的话，请他们务必呢在台湾小心驾，在台湾剩下半年了。今天呢大概就到这边了，希望大家呢看完这个影片的时候呢，也可以把这个影片分享出去。好了，那今天就谢谢大家，那记得大家建议跟大家分享，好不好？拜拜。
拜拜。